but did not live up to plot like all the Saw
Wait.
movies since number 4.
Wait, you're saying that Spiral wasn't the Spirograph movie that's been inspired by the success of the Barbie movie?
No, it was not. But that would have been funnier.
That really doesn't bring my hopes and expectations up for the Etch-a-Sketch movie.
Oh, and welcome to the show, everybody.
And the thing
Fuck
is
y'all.
that I keep getting told.
What?
No, not you. Everybody watching this piece of shit.
Oh yeah. But
Why are you inflicting curses at our audience, our beloved
That's
audience?
apparently what I do now.
But here's the thing. I keep getting told Get Out is genius. That even if you don't like the subsequent films that come out, Get Out is somehow head and shoulders above. And the fact of the matter is that I've seen plot synopses. Okay, I know the trick at the end. I get it, but you know what? It sounds fucking retarded to me.
Why?
Let me get this straight. We're gonna kidnap black people.
Hmm?
And
Make sure you get it straight.
And we're gonna do we're gonna do surgery on them
Yes.
to put the brains of white people in black bodies.
Yes. White people who are about to die.
Because of
black
racism.
don't crack.
See, I have this problem, Larry. I have this serious problem called I know exactly one step more biology than a plant. You mean the whole brain? All the way down the spinal fucking column? With the hundreds of thousands of nervous interconnections? And we somehow replaced the brain.
Yes.
It's not engrams, it's not computer programming, it's not a chip installation. We literally did biological brain removal and replacement.
Yes.
Bullshit.
What? Where is your verisimilitude broken?
Do you see that football flying off in the distance, Larry? That's my suspension of disbelief.
So why did your suspension of disbelief go out the window for that?
This is what happens, Larry.
Because that doesn't fucking work. Okay? I like RoboCop 2. Okay? I'll credit that RoboCop 2 is a cheesy movie. Okay? But in RoboCop 1, they took out Alex Murphy's brain, they put it in a robot, and you know that his brain is damaged. Okay? In addition to getting shot to death, you know they cut off his cerebrum. He's missing parts of his memory.
That's why they plugged in a whole bunch of computer pieces into his brain.
Right. When you look at the bad guy from RoboCop 2, they not only show his brain in the hydration oxygenation tank, but they show it has the attached cerebrum column. All right?
Yes.
He's got all of his brain and his little eyeballs floating there. And they show you horrifically from his position as they juggle his fucking skull around with his face still attached. Okay? You know he's alive. You know he's insane. You know this isn't going to work. You also know it's a fantasy, and that's okay. Nobody went around and said that RoboCop 2 was civic-minded. Even Peter Weller, who tried to say that it was about don't do drugs, kids, would not deny RoboCop 2 is about bad guys being shot at by good guys, and good guys beating bad guys because it's an action movie, and it doesn't require you to think heavy. Okay? But somehow, because Get Out took the phenomenal step of having black main characters instead of white main characters and addressing social issues. It is the deepest film ever, and we cannot hold it accountable for the fact that its actual plot makes no fucking sense and was made by a 12-year-old with crayons on the fridge.
You know what's great about this is it's an excellent lead-in to the Blue Beetle review.
Right!
Blue Beetle is the second most racist comic book movie that I've watched since comic book movies have become a thing.
Ladies and the one gentle guy in the corner, because I'm sure men don't watch this. we don't have Ayrton tonight. Otherwise, the racism time banner would be flying across the bottom. So just
It would. We
just
are
imagine
sans our producer Ayrton here tonight. It is sad. So, Church, I was impressed because I didn't suspect this movie was going to be racist, but it was racist against white people. It was racist against black people, and it was racist against Mexicans. So first,
I am not surprised by that at all.
every white person was giving out, passive aggressive racist comments to the Mexican characters, calling them by the wrong name. There was one character who is a scientist working for the evil white woman, played by Susan Sarandon, who is continuing the great work of Ed Asner of communists playing capitalists and playing them like cartoonish supervillains.
Like you do.
That she called Sanchez for the entire movie, and in the third act, he sacrificed his life to say what his real name actually was. That was the decision the character made in this movie. The only bad Hispanic character was an indigenous person. Now, what you may not know, Church, and our audience may not know, is that Mexico is very racist towards indigenous people. They view them as inferior. Mexico is also extremely racist to black people. We'll get to that in a minute. So the indigenous
I was definitely aware of this.
Yeah. So the indigenous person, who's not even Mexican, he's from Guatemala, but they do the "we are both the same" ending to redeem the villain at the end of the movie. So the movie is subtextually telling you that Guatemalans are the same as Mexicans, because I mean, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? He was brainwashed by the U.S. government to become a killing machine, and once he realized that it was the U.S. government that killed his family, that he wanted to kill the person who sold the U.S. government the technology to kill his family, who was also his boss, who had turned him into a cyborg. The only black people with speaking lines was one guy from the military, who was evil because he was working for the military, wanted to get a weapons system, and one guy who was high, who was waiting for his LSD to kick in at a bus stop. I don't know why you'd be waiting for your LSD to kick.
Have you ever taken LSD, Larry?
I have not.
Okay, so when you take LSD, you're on a timer from about anywhere from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours, depending on the LSD and your particular brain chemistry. Mm-hmm. So you could have a minute to go get dinner and have a nice calm conversation with your mother. Or you could be waiting in the drive-thru at McDonald's and see a fucking dragon fly by.
Well, these were three people who were waiting for their LSD to kick in while they were waiting for the bus to pick them up.
I mean, that is the best story told by his name I've ever had, the lead singer of Black Flag, Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins' best story among his many funny stories is about the time he did LSD, because he's not really a drug guy, and his former bandmates told him that he should take LSD because he's an asshole. They thought it would mellow him out.
No, that would not mellow Henry out at all.
Oh no, he found out he's a complete puss.
So let me tell you about Jaime Reyes's family and how his family are all racist.
Did you say Hyman Reyes?
Excuse me, Jaime. Larry, it's Jaime.
Jaime.
You gotta get that phlegm in there.
No. It's Hyman. It's because he's such a pussy.
No,
okay,
it's Jaime.
We got it in our system, Larry.
So the characters are all racist tropes. The father of the family is the illegal alien who works 35 jobs. He somehow has a business license, which doesn't make any effing sense. But he lost his business because he had a heart attack, and he was losing his family home. This is something that is very relatable to church, I'm sure.
I've pretty much managed to keep a home over my family's head.
Right. But
I do work 35 jobs.
Exactly. So we have his uncle, played by George Lopez, who is a technical and engineering genius, but he's also living on his brother's couch.
Wait a minute. George Lopez, the comedian?
George Lopez, the comedian.
George Lopez, the comedian who was soundly disowned by the Latin American community for being a piece of shit.
That George Lopez.
Can't see it.
The one who
my hand just tried to penetrate the outer surface of my forehead.
Mm-hmm. So you also have.
If you can't at least get Gabriel Iglesias, don't fucking try.
So you have George Lopez as the uncle. You have his abuela, who is apparently a Latin American revolutionary, and the mother. All three of them are illegal aliens, even though the father owned a business. Which is kind of interesting. How did he get a business license? How did he pay taxes? But another dimension of the problem with the movie is Jaime is 22. The movie's pretty clear that Jaime is 22. And
I thought Blue Beetle was a kid.
He is a kid of 22.
Right, but no. I thought Blue Beetle in comics was like a kid, like in high school, like not age of majority.
Nope. However, the actor who played Jaime's father in the movie is 70.
So what, did he have Jaime when he was 40?
That is a problem because a lot of the movie's key plot points involve things that happened in the 80s. The actress who plays Jaime's mom is like 67. Now I'm curious to see the age of the abuela here. Give me a second. I mean, George Lopez is also old.
I mean, I'm doing that fucking mental math real hard, and I don't want to presume malfeasance, but I'm reasonably certain how that adds up is kind of.
Wait, how is Blue Beetle related to Miles Morales, though?
Well, there is a character named Miles in the movie. He's not related to Miles Morales.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Could we be hinting at a possible amalgam crossover coming up? Because that's the only fucking thing in comics they haven't ruined yet.
I mean, that could be a cool element to the movie.
No. I think your adverb is wrong. I believe the descriptor would be shitty. That would be a shitty thing to do.
And so all these characters have been in the country since the 80s. The villain went to the School of the Americas. However, the School of the Americas shut down in the year 2000. We know that Ted Kord's Blue Beetle was active in the late 80s to early 90s based on references that were in the Beetle Cave. I don't even know what you would call the Beetle Cave, but it's the Beetle Cave. Let me pull up the actress who played the grandma.
Beetle Cave is more appreciable than Shit Shoot when you consider that they are, in fact, scarab beetles from space.
Exactly. And we'll get to that in a moment here. So yeah, the actress who played the grandma is also 70. So the actress who's playing the grandma is the same age as the son and the mother, basically. So let's pull up George Lopez's
Don't be
age.
a Minutes in South Central shit right there, buddy.
Yeah, George Lopez is like 5 years younger than all the other adults in the family. So the racism is, the tech genius and the engineering genius who's unemployed, living on his brother's couch, but he has a brand new Toyota Tacoma that he calls the Taco, and it plays La Cucaracha on the horn.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But La Cucaracha is a good track, though.
It is a good track. I'm not going to do that in Nana, was a communist revolutionary, which is something we don't find out until later in the movie because the movie's using it as a justification to explain why Nana is able to fire a minigun. So we also have a sister who she didn't use the word, but the sister is, of course, Latinx. She clearly would call herself Latinx.
When you say the word, do you mean the N word?
No, the other slur, the Latinx, Latinx. It's a slur. It's gross. And Jaime.
It was the attempt to rebrand as a corporate logo the entire Latin American subculture.
And the guy who played Jaime Reyes is the vanilla minority, the inoffensive minority young person who doesn't really stand out because he's just such a good, solid guy that everybody likes. So everybody in the family is racist. Now we do have one other Hispanic character of note, which is Ted Cord's daughter, who's half Brazilian, who does baddish things, but for good reasons. But she doesn't become a good person until she discovers her roots through being exposed to a Mexican family. Because, of course, Mexicans and Brazilians are the same. While the movie doesn't say they're the same, it paints that picture with subtext.
You know, I work with a Brazilian, and I'm sure he would be amazed if I told him that.
Yeah. And the movie is set in fictional Miami, even though Blue Beetle from the comic books was from El Paso. So this is El Paso wearing a Miami skin. But instead of Cubans, it's Mexicans. Because of course they are. They're Tex-Mexicans, no less. In a city that, if you look at the downtown, it's Miami. The buildings look like Miami. The cars on the street are Miami. The way people are dressing is Miami.
Is Will Smith walking around singing a song about Sly Stallone?
I mean, he should be. That would make this movie 1,000% better.
But why though?
That's how you could tell it's Miami.
Well, the reason they made this in fictional DC Miami is because all of the important DC comic superheroes have their own fictional city.
Right. Yadi.
But you couldn't make the fictional city somewhere in like South Texas?
Well, no, because they're using an island owned by the U.S. government that they stole from the Cubans as a major plot point. So obviously, when they're flying the Blue Beetle tank, they have to be able to get there easily. So it has to be Miami.
Party in the city where the heat is on?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, I'm not straining to make this happen, but I just want to point out that you're talking about a science fiction.
Yes.
With a flying beetle tank.
Yes.
In a superhero environment.
Yes.
Where we already know that Superman, the Justice League, and the Justice Society exist.
Well, for the purpose of this movie, only Batman exists because he's a fascist.
Sure, but I'm just asking, how fast does the Beetle tank move?
That's why it has to be in fictional Miami.
Oh, because it's slow and they stupid.
Well, no, it's it can't move that fast because it's a tank that flies.
No, see, I remember this movie some years back. I know I'm an old man. Maybe you don't remember. It was called X-Men. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, there was this scene where a guy who was actually a halfway decent Cyclops, and this tall Australian, you've heard of him, his name is Hugh Jackman, had a bit of a conversation because they were standing in a plane called an XR-23 Blackbird.
The fastest plane ever built.
And when asked about what about like radar, Cyclops informed Wolverine that if they have anything that can see us, we deserve to get caught. And you're telling me that a sci-fi beetle tank is slower than an XR-71 Blackbird?
Again, the XR-71 Blackbird is one of the fastest planes ever made. I
by
believe it is technically
humans.
the
This
fastest.
is a beetle tank made by aliens.
No. The Beetle tank was made by Ted Cord, adapted from alien technology.
Using technology adapted from an intelligent alien that the kid is currently wearing.
We're going to get to that here in just a second. So, the movie starts off with
You know this was about Vor.
so the movie starts off with Susan Sarandon rediscovering the beetle because they have to have her discover the beetle in the beginning of the movie. Otherwise, the audience is going to get confused as to why the MacGuffin was already with the bad guys. So you need to show it to them in the audience. That's the studio note. And also, we need to insult Morales by calling him Sanchez.
I agree.
Then Jaime flies in from college. Where did he go to college?
We could insult him just by calling him his first name, Jaime. I mean, that's pretty insulting. Why would your parents name you that?
Because it's James in Mexican.
Yeah, but don't they know they're in America?
Yes, but they're proud of their heritage
America,
because they're Mexican.
yeah.
So he's the first member of his family to graduate college. He's proud. He looks at some old guy on the escalator and says, "How do I look?" Like you have 6 figures in debt.
He's not going to pay that debt.
And the family is trying to hide from Jaime a secret that the family business has gone down because Dad had a heart attack at his auto body shop. I mean, it's not like he has a brother who's a technical genius and an engineering genius who could have done the work, was living in his house. But again, this isn't the only problem the movie has with its own plot making sense. And they tell the sister, now don't tell your brother because, you always tell him at the wrong time. And the first real problem I have with this movie, trying to take its being a heartfelt Mexican family movie seriously, is they take him to a restaurant to get tacos. When his abuela is right there.
Yeah, she could be making tamales. She's already got tamales made, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. Tamales are already in the fridge fitting
exactly.
Up. She's got a fucking cow's tongue that's been cooking on the stove for 18 years right now.
Basically, when I confirmed this story to make sure my take was
they've been cooking that cow's tongue since before they immigrated to America illegally. They carried the pot and the fire with them so that it would never stop cooking.
That cow tongue traces its lineage back to a cow brought to America by Cortez.
But I confirmed this story with my Mexican acquaintance who I do my regular role-playing games with. He said, no, if you went to a restaurant to eat, it doesn't matter because you'd be eating abuela's food when you got home. So why in the world would you do that? My second problem with this story is he's eating a taco because it's something that's relatable to non-Hispanic people. There are tons of excellent Mexican food.
Real Hispanic tacos don't fucking work like that. They're literally about this. Okay, so the diameter of the tortilla that you eat a traditional Mexican taco in is about the size. It's like half of a taco shell you would get at like a Taco Bell or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are like burrito and fajita shells. What we consider a taco, those hard things, throw them out. They don't exist. The only crunchy corn tortilla thing you get over there is a tostada. So, I mean, just knock all that shit out. The tortilla you're eating a taco out of, you're going to eat like 15 tacos when you go to eat tacos because they're bite size. Like they're 1 or 2 bites and that's it. They're almost like finger food appetizers.
Yep.
What's the thing? My brain is like, isn't this him like snacking?
No, this is the family taking him to the restaurant to tell him the bad news that the family business is gone and they're going to lose the house in 3 weeks. Now,
we're going to spend money we don't have to go out to eat to tell you some bad fucking news, buddy.
Yes. And
Yet
the
again,
other
someone misunderstanding Ghostbusters.
now, in addition to all of that, the scene exists for the purpose of the dad giving the waitress a 25% tip.
With money you ain't got? Fuck no.
Yeah. And also for the sister to say, she's not going to college because, college is a scam. So Jaime, being
Wait a minute. At the same time?
Obviously the
same
bitch is
fucking
going to
time?
college. Dad's out here spending all the fucking college tuition on food and tips.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. Wait a minute. You're telling me that we went to the nice restaurant. We sat down. The father, the patriarch called attention and said, I have some terrible news. This is the end of the petty cash. And then the daughter stands up.
Oh no! It's
Biden's
before that.
reverend,
It's before that part.
and is
Before that
like-
part.
And is like, oh, and by the way, I'm not going to school because I'm going to get pregnant and be a preteen mom. Yay!
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they toast Jaime being the first member of the family to go to college, and then the daughter says, "And the last, because I'm not going to college because college is a scam."
Wait, again, right then?
Yes.
What a cunt!
Yes. And then that's when Dad reveals that, we're soon going to be homeless.
What an asshole!
But because Jaime is such a good dude, he's like, I'm going to figure out a way to save the family home. I'm going to skip out on grad school.
You dumb
because
fucker!
I need to save the family.
Go get a good job that can just pay all their fucking bills.
Well, he thinks he can.
Maybe I can go play. Maybe I can play football.
No, he's not even built for Mexican football. He could maybe do tennis.
That's depressing.
But
you just kill yourself then.
So he tries to get a job, fails. His sister gets him a job as being a domestic servant at the evil rich white lady's house.
He could have had a job. It could have been called grad school.
Mm-hmm. So he's working at the evil rich white lady's house because the plot has to happen. And his sister needs him to be needs him to be her watch guy because she's going to poop in the rich lady's toilet because she deserves to poop in the rich lady's toilet.
But why though?
Because it's a nice toilet.
Look, I, as a former janitor, have cleaned many toilets.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were so pretty, so perfect, that I felt the need, the overwhelming, visceral desire to specifically shit in any of them. It's
now, Rune, this has been a plot point that's been a source of episodes for Rick and Morty and Married with Children.
The thing is, those are comedies and built in extremis. No one actually wants to shit in a rich person's toilet for the sheer grandeur of shitting in a rich person's toilet.
Wait, are you telling me Rick Sanchez took the extremist virus?
No, I'm telling you, Rick Sanchez needs an X at the end of his name.
So, because of him being the watchman for his sister.
Wait a minute. You're telling me Blue Beetle's sister wants to shit in a rich woman's toilet?
Yes.
And he's a Latino in modern media.
Yes.
Is he Morty? Is Rick Sanchez his secret uncle that he doesn't know about? Is this all a giant Rick and Morty?
Kind of, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment. So because he's in there, covered for his sister, he meets Ted Kord's daughter, who's half Brazilian, because the actress who plays her is Brazilian. Which is weird how a director from Puerto Rico is trying to authentically represent Mexican culture. But she meets him and offers him a job at Court Industries.
Like an Indian parade. Like there's 3 real Indians and then Puerto Ricans with feathers in their hair. That's all you get.
Mm-hmm. So he gets dressed up in his
Wait a minute.
only suit.
Wait a minute, Church. You are now being a meme. You
Mhm.
are those guys from the Antiques Roadshow alike.
Yeah.
Where it's like, can I get a Brazilian? It's like, look, the best I can do is 3 Hondurans.
Basically.
Yeah. So he goes to Cord Industries, and his entire family is there to embarrass him at his job at
Jesus
a big
Christ.
company. Because I mean, that's what you do when somebody gets a
Right,
job at a serious.
Yeah, you go to work with them because you got nothing better to do because your company's failing.
Can I in fact propose that perhaps, just perhaps the company is failing because instead of going to the job and presiding over it
Well, no,
and
they
making sure
already
it
lost
works
it.
properly,
No, they already
they
lost it because the dad had a heart attack.
but I'm just saying in general. Perhaps instead of working, they felt they had the free time to instead go do stupid shit like embarrass their young people at their jobs. Perhaps they could have opened these things called newspapers that are everywhere and
Mhm.
started looking for jobs.
That is a element of the racism in this movie at play. So
Fuck.
so Jaime goes in. There's a white secretary who's one of the few white speaking parts in this movie, whose entire purpose is to be racist to young Blue Beetle. And he sits
I'm
there
on board
waiting.
for all this racism. It seems good to me.
So he's waiting for the hot Brazilian chick who steals the scarab from the lab. She puts it in a burger box and tries to escape with it because, evil rich white lady, her aunt, played by Susan Sarandon, is going to use it to make a army of cyborg private military contractors. Now, if they're actually using the Reach as a plot
Wait
point,
a minute. Just a small rollback here for a minute.
yes,
I am evil white woman executive.
yes,
I am stealing incredibly valuable alien technology under research. And the
yes.
sum of my plan.
Oh no! Hold up! It's not the evil white woman who stole it. It's the half Brazilian chick who's good, but she doesn't become fully good until she reaches out to her Hispanic roots.
Sure, but let's just whoever it is, the sum of my plan to steal this object is to put it in a food box and stash it under my arm. Like I'm not going to get scanned. I don't have to go through a thing. I don't have to get stopped at the door. There aren't any guards. What is security at this science place?
It's ineffective against the white privilege room. Did you not get the message?
There was more security in the museum that failed to notice Peter Parker got bit by a spider they misplaced.
She
there was
actually
more security at
but
the
Rune,
lab
Rune,
that made
Rune.
fucking Electro.
Rune. She got scanned going into the lab, so they didn't have to scan her when she left.
Since
right,
when?
You definitely, you absolutely can't steal anything if they scan you going into the room. Come on. Riggedy wreck.
And so the first thing that our main character does in his movie is he accepts stolen items from a strange white lady.
Yeah.
Who tells him
still on the brown market because they don't like black people.
Yeah. Who says, don't open this box, and whatever you do, if you open it, don't touch what's inside it.
And so our first response was not to put it down and walk away.
No, he takes it because he wants to bang the hot white chick.
You want to bang Susan Sarandon?
No, the half Brazilian chick.
I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at him if he wanted to bang Susan Sarandon, even.
Well, here's the thing, because I want to come back to something I mentioned earlier. I'm pretty sure in comics, Blue Beetle is supposed to be a teenager.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If he was like 17 or 18, right? And the Brazilian chick is really hot, I could forgive that level of a lack of foresight.
Hey,
but I'm
Rune,
sorry.
Rune.
Once you're 22 and you can drink alcohol, you have far less excuses.
Hey, Rune, this movie's going to end with a boner joke, okay?
You're not helping.
So he takes it home, and then his sister opens the box, and then she and the uncle, played by George Lopez, play hot potato. He eventually recovers the beetle. The beetle says, "Oh, you're the host I want to, fully integrate with," and they make a poop joke about the beetle going up his asshole as it's assimilating itself into him. And then the beetle does a test of the superpowers run, which causes various havoc and destruction in the city, including the scene where it splits a public bus in half. Luckily, no one was
Batman
killed.
the Bill.
No,
Batman covers all this shit.
No, Batman doesn't know about this kid.
No, but he covers all the superhero mayhem in DC. That's been established.
Well, no, but we're going to get to that, and he eventually flies home, but is naked because when the beetle transforms him, he loses his clothes.
So the beetle's a thief as well?
The beetle is apparently a thief as well, but that is in keeping with being part of the Reach. So stealing and acquiring data is part of its programming. Now,
yes,
we'll get back to the Reach in a minute. And so they realize that somebody has the beetle, and they're going to go after the Brazilian chick to try to sweat her out to get the beetle. Now, his family tells him to go find the Brazilian chick because, you should get this beetle out of you. And that is why he fights the bad guy, because the bad guy comes to kill the Brazilian chick, goes to punch him with a robot arm, and then the beetle suit goes on, and he has to tell the beetle suit, no, don't kill people, because killing people is bad.
Wait, we already seen Venom.
We've also seen Terminator 2, which did this even better. And then he nearly gets killed because he didn't kill the guy first. And then George Lopez has to ruin his truck to stop the bad guy.
The new truck?
His brand new Toyota Tacoma.
Ain't that a bitch?
It is. But they eventually escape and go to the abandoned mansion of Ted Kord, where they go into the Beetle Cave and use the Beetle computer to find out plot-related stuff about the Beetle.
Saying the word bat wrong.
No, I am not saying that. And much like in Flash, Jaime Reyes spends some time brooding on top of the abandoned Ted Kord mansion. It's very weird how there are 3 sequences: the superhero causing destruction in the city when it's learning its powers, the brooding on top of the mansion, and the private military contractors holding a superhero hostage are directly lifted from the Flash. It's weird.
Well, I mean, budgets being what they are.
It's really weird. And also, the scriptwriter has a history of writing basically nothing. So he then jumps off the top of the mansion because his uncle tells him, hey, maybe that'll make your suit fly. Because he can't figure out how to make a suit fly. And it does. And then he goes home, but that's when evil rich white woman is coming to get his family, because she's since figured out he's got the suit, needs to find him, get his family. He fights the private military contractors, which in the great tradition of leftist propaganda movies are faceless soldiers. So it's okay for our heroes to commit violence against them.
Right,
now, our main hero...
They have stars over their face. Wait, I've seen this movie too.
Yes. Now, in this case, our main character is not going to kill any of them, but his family's going to kill a whole bunch of them later with the Beetle tank, which we're going to get to. And Blue Beetle's father dies having a heart attack, because one of the private military contractors hits him with the butt of a rifle in the face. Then he gets captured and taken away to a secret island fortress in Cuba to steal all the powers from the Beetle and to give it to OMAC, which is the cyborg platform that Susan Sarandon's going to roll out for all of her private military contracting jobs. So, rich half Brazilian chick has to get Jaime Reyes' family together to save Jaime. So they get in the Beetle tank.
Trying to kill him?
No, you're thinking Susan Sarandon. That
white
Brazilian
women
chick.
The same to me.
Well, no, she's not white. She's half Brazilian.
Oh, close.
So they get in the Beetle tank after the teenage sister tags the tank. She has to tag the tank before they can fly it out and use it as a weapon. And then they land on the fortress with the tank, and they start stabbing people with the legs of the Beetle tank. And it drops a gas weapon, which makes a farting noise. And then they break into the compound, set up explosives. Jaime is in basically a coma as they're sucking all of the superpowers out of him. And he gets to see the ghost of his dad and says, "Hey, listen, I realized my purpose in life was to be your dad, and to be here with you at this moment to tell you your purpose is to be a superhero. Because the Beetle chose you, and it wants to save the world. And the universe knows you're the right person." And then he can't activate his suit for a while. He finds everybody else in the family, gets back to the Beetle ship. His mom tells the Beetle suit that it needs to work and figure out its shit. And then he fights the cyborg in the OMAC outfit, who's the Native American, who was tricked by the white man into being evil. And he's still fighting him in a nonviolent way until it looks like he killed George Lopez, and then Jaime is willing to kill a guy, which again is racist as well. And then he's about to kill him, but the suit, which has the voice of a white woman, tells him, "No, we don't kill people." And then tells him that you and he are really all the same, and shows the memories of the guy in the cyborg suit, who then drags Susan Sarandon off into the fire to kill her. And then the half Brazilian chick leads court industry into a new, more socially conscious direction, goes to the wake for Jaime's father. She says, "Oh, everything's going to be fine. Here's your new truck, George Lopez. And hey, I want to go back to my house." And Jaime says, "I'll take you there." "What vehicle?" "We'll just fly." And then the suit says, "I'm sensing an increase in blood in your midsection." That's your boner joke there, Rone. A DC movie made a boner joke.
Was that a good laugh?
That was a good laugh.
That what the movie wanted?
That was what the movie wanted.
Okay, I'm glad.
And later in the post-credits scene, Ted Kord's half Brazilian daughter is dressing in a classic Blue Beetle outfit, and then the computer tells her Ted Kord isn't dead, as an attempt to try to get us to go watch another Blue Beetle movie. Now, a major plot point in this movie.
God-fearing American go do that.
Another problem with this movie that I've mentioned is its timeline. So you got these 70-year-old people with 20-year-old kids, which is a problem in and of itself. And a 70-year-old granny who's probably 90, but the actress playing her is like 70. So the School of the Americas shut down in the year 2000. The bad guy in the cyborg suit, he graduated from there. So first of all, him graduating from there in 2000 means he couldn't have been involved in any, evil paramilitary right-wing operations working for the CIA. Now, Ted Kord was active in the 80s and 90s, which means, and Ted Kord's sister didn't take over until sometime in the mid-90s. So that means sometime in the mid-90s, the U.S. government made a bunch of weapons, became a military contractor, and gave those weapons to the U.S. government.
It was when Stark Industries took over.
Exactly. And gave those weapons to the U.S. government to attack Latin American revolutionaries. But except this whole incident happened when the bad guy was 6. So he couldn't have gone to a secret military training school when he was 6 and had this happen. Which means either A, Ted Kord was secretly selling weapons, or B, Ted Kord's father was selling these weapons, and this happened way earlier. Problem with that is, Ted Kord's father didn't give Susan Sarandon control of the company because she was a girl.
Good reason.
So that means that doesn't work either. The movie sets hard, real timeline figures, but none of that makes any sense. Oh, also, the actor who plays the bad guy, Hispanic, is also almost 70 years old. So him being his actual age, being a cyborg, would work, but it again radically changes the timeline of everything else in this movie. This movie is racist. It has all white people being racist to Mexicans, especially in a city that's either fictional Miami or fictional El Paso, where even rednecks understand how to pronounce Mexican names and Hispanic names. Black people are all violent military people or high on drugs. And Hispanic people are only stereotypes. This movie was awful.
Fail to see the problem with any of this.
And my Mexican friend, when I explained to him that the director was Puerto Rican, he said, "Oh, that makes sense then." Because of the long-standing
Puerto
rivalry
Ricans
of Mexicans.
Mexicans.
Yes.
One of my best friends is Puerto Ricans, and he hates fucking Mexicans.
The only positive thing that you can say about this movie is it beat out Barbie movie on like week 6 by $2 million to become the number one movie this weekend in the box. It became the number one movie at the box office this weekend. This movie isn't going to make its money back, but the only advantage this movie has is it cost about half of what it cost to make the Flash movie.
The Flash made its money back and an extra like $10 million, I heard.
Well, that's from people who don't know how any of that works. It's not made back as much as it cost to film the movie and the reshoots.
And
forget the marketing budget. Yeah. So, and that doesn't also get into the split. So, no, the Flash movie, in fact, lost money, and this movie's going to lose money. But here's the thing. You have an ensemble cast, and you have a lot of deep lore and backstory to develop. This would have been much better as a streaming show.
Nah, I'm tired of those two.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would have been better as a streaming show.
I'd rather have season 2 of She-Hulk than that.
Also, this movie had Dan Garrett in the movie, referenced. So
Hey,
all
Garrett,
three Blue Beetle. Dan Garrett was mentioned in this movie, the original Blue Beetle.
Oh, yeah, Dan Garrett. Okay.
Yeah.
Garrett.
So I would strongly not recommend this movie. It sucks. Now we're going to... did Rune fall off while we were talking?
Hope so.
All right. So...
Let me check the... Hey, he's back there. Sorry about that, Rune.
Yeah, no, this film was so bad my computer had a fucking stroke and blue screened out. And then I was sitting here listening to you guys talk about it, which, let me tell you, being able to listen to it and not be able to comment on it is interminable. It's up there with the Mortalico treatment from Clockwork Orange. And the only thing I have to come away saying with it is that it is sad they're killing people to avenge George Lopez and not Eric Estrada. Not even murdering people for Ricardo Montalban.
And I saw another movie called Heart of Stone with Gal Gadot. There's not a lot of commentary I'm going to make on this movie, other than the fact that Gal Gadot was fine in this movie. She was even good in places in this movie, but this movie was awful. It's a movie about, hey, there's a secret spy agency that's so secret, it's so spying, it's above the government. It's above all the governments. And they actually have agents inside the real spy agencies. So what you're saying is there's a shadow government. Well, yeah, but it's a good shadow government. No.
There's no such thing.
And they had an AI that has perfect clarity and knowledge of everything. Like the one in the Fast and the Furious series, and the one that they just did in Mission Impossible. Gal Gadot needs a better agent.
And
She
also,
keeps-
Larry, no, I don't know because I don't watch shit movies like you do, apparently.
Look, I watch bad movies to learn about how to construct stories better. Because when you keep studying failure, you find your path to success.
This is an actual academian position.
It is.
It's a fight. I don't know if you're familiar how old this is. It's been going on since at least the advent of the 20th century. There are people that say that you should only study true literature, the big lit, and then there are people that's like, no, you can learn more about human interactions and what actually drives, people at the average rung of society by reading pop lit.
Mm.
So it's like if you enjoy, say, I don't know, Commando or Invasion USA, which are trash, but
Or
they're
Death
fun,
Wish 3.
or Death Wish 3, but they are fun trash, and everybody loves them. This tells you what drives people. But if you watch like fucking Pelican Brief, and you can't understand why no one likes this, even though it is critically beloved, because it is boring as shit, that also tells you something.
But for me, I learned a lot about creating and crafting and honing stories by seeing how people fail. Like going, well, why did you make a whole plot point about him being in college when that college degree wasn't useful for the character? When you could have said,
Why you
hey,
fuck
he's
up?
like say, hey, just make him in high school. And why have the whole thing about the family business failing? Just make him an intern at the company.
Well, here's the thing. This is actually the thing. We've talked about Chekhov's gun, and some people have said that
Yeah.
Chekhov's gun happens when you actually use Chekhov's gun. That's wrong.
It was Chekhov's phaser. He was in Star Trek, for fuck's sake.
No, that Chekhov's retired. We're talking about the actual author Chekhov, you plebeian. No, the thing is that if we take a rollback and look at this stupid fucking movie with this stupid fucking story, it's not the question of his college experience, which doesn't matter. Here's the real question: who gives a shit about the sister not wanting to go to college?
Right, but if the sister isn't there to make snarky commentary, why is the sister in the movie?
It'd be like a Church of Failure episode without me. I contribute absolutely nothing but the snarky commentary.
No, you actually contribute a lot, Church, in addition to providing us this wonderful space to bitch and act like shitlords. I find the Church Minute at the end of the show to be very important.
And it'll be really good when we talk about comics, when Church flips on the open for business sign.
But what I'm getting at is that within the realms of literature, big L, the argument has always been that you must trim the fat, focus only on the things that matter, which means...
Now, when you say big L, do you mean capital literature or the fact that the industry is a fucking losing one?
No, I mean capital literature. Your Shakespeare, your Aquinas.
I mean, honestly, I got kind of a hot take on that, especially for a couple of writers. But let's continue on before I throw the pot.
What I'm getting at is that the entire point of Chekhov's gun is that if you're going to introduce an object into your scene, into your total work, into your set of characters, it has to do something meaningful and progressing to the plot by the third chapter, or it should not be there. And it better damn well do something before the end of the movie. This isn't even about whether or not the sister exists. Sure, give him the big family. It's if the sister is specifically going to state that she's not going to school, and if his going or not going to grad school is a significant plot point, then it better be a goddamn significant plot point. If it's played for laughs and actually serves nothing, you didn't need it. At all. Ever. And don't give me this argument that it's to lighten up the movie. Everything you described is at the beginning of the fucking movie. That's before we get to the primary conflict and the primary thesis. Which means that was supposed to be set dressing and character defining. How did that define anything about Jaime's character other than his family fucking sucks and he'd be better off if they were hit by a goddamn bus?
Also, Jaime didn't choose to get his superpowers. It wasn't an accident. Somebody else set off the chain of events that gave him superpowers. He didn't do anything. The only thing he really did was fight some people who tried to kidnap his family.
Here's the thing. Last time you and I talked about this very briefly because we wanted to leave room for the show, I kept comparing it to my own work that I'd been working on, El Hombre Lobo.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is the crux. I don't have a problem with the idea that it wasn't Jaime's plan to become a superhero. Okay? He
didn't choose the accident that caused the powers.
Right. That's not a problem. Okay? Where my problem is that everything you've said does not actually describe at any point where Jaime actually says, I have powers, I have a responsibility to use them for good. Or if I don't use these powers for something positive, these powers will use me for something negative because the parasite that is the beetle is for the Reach and the Reach is evil. Right?
Which isn't brought up in the movie.
Right. In my own work, the entire crux of El Hombre Lobo is that his anger as a person is toxic. It's going to kill him or hurt people he cares about. Right? And so he is given the choice. Be a good guy and use it for something right, or be a bad guy and be part of the problem. And he chooses be a good guy. Actively. Right. This is the crux.
Choice. That's a terrible choice. Always be the problem.
But the thing for
I'm just saying, heroes, even if they didn't choose the path they end up on, at some point take an active choice to involve themselves in what's going on around them. They aren't involved by others.
At no point does Jaime make a choice to be involved in things. He's drugged into stuff by the half Brazilian chick. He's drugged into stuff by the threat to his family. He's drugged into stuff by being kidnapped and having to escape after being helped. He's not an active protagonist. He's not pushing his own story forward.
It's extra funny because, as I said, I watched Mahler's 5-hour epic on Quantum Mania, right? And there's actually an interesting side element to that, which is that in order to explain Quantum Mania, he has to explain both Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp as films because he's talking about the summation of a trilogy. And whether he likes Paul Rudd or not, or Paul Rudd's comedy, he actually does give Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, a lot of breaks because they actually, in spite of making a shitty movie, made Scott Lang a halfway decent guy that you actually want to win.
Yes.
Right? He accidents into the Ant-Man suit, but now that he's got it, he's got to do good things with it. Right?
And he's doing it because he wants to be a better man for his daughter.
Right. That's her heroism.
His character is making a proactive choice to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but little baby fingers MODOK was the funniest thing about that movie.
Well, that's because in that movie, much as in this movie, which I think is why it's pertinent to bring it up, all of those mistakes, all of those problems are not character problems. The character didn't decide those. Those were decided by outside factors. And when we're talking about looking at bad movies to figure out how to write better stories, one of those strong undercurrents I seem to notice is not that the creator is sacred or special. Okay, you got to be humble as a creator. You got to be aware that your shit is not original or unique, right? But also, don't let some motherfucker with money rewrite your work. And
also,
don't make shitty work that serves you and not your story.
Also, all of the choices that drove the plot forward in this movie were made by the female characters. The male characters were largely passive and just went with the flow of the story.
Here's this about that though, okay? And I think this is something that we kind of lose when we get really enthusiastic in our misogyny, in the misogyny zone, because we live there. We occasionally drop by and pick up a T-shirt. Classic Superman.
Remind women they're not supposed to be voting.
The most classic Superman stories. Lois Lane gets a scoop. Lois Lane is going to get that scoop no matter what. Lois Lane goes to get that scoop, and while she's getting that scoop, she gets onto something bigger than expected, and oh no, she's now in peril.
But Superman makes a choice to do the right thing because he's Superman.
Right, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. If your thesis to try and sell me this film is that, well, the women have to make choices because the women are empowered.
No, not that the women have to make choices. They're the only people who are making choices.
Right, that's the mistake. But I'm saying that if you were the opposition, if you're going to be like, well, you guys just don't like women making choices. No. We're okay with women making choices. See Lois Lane. The problem is that those choices have to have consequences, and you can't take away another character's agency to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They should be making choices. Jaime should be making choices. The villain should be making choices. And all of these choices should go somewhere.
But they don't.
Oddly enough, it's very funny. I mentioned earlier, Church made me read a comic, and I mentioned I really didn't enjoy it because it really was a greatest hits of DC's worst storylines. But I will give you this, Church.
Yes.
Batson is a fuck up. The Dead Man is a terrible superhero.
I mean, he's not a superhero.
But
he's not. He's a vessel of the dead.
Right. But his story was all about making choices. Choosing to act, choosing not to act, choosing to act and then regretting that things didn't go the way you wanted. Mm-hmm. The entire thing was about personal culpability. And also knowing when to let go, because sometimes you're just not responsible for shit going wrong.
If your characters aren't out there making choices, then what the heck are you engaging your audience with?
Well, we know
if things are just happening because things happen
to get their money. That's what they're after.
But if things just happen for things to just happen, like another comic book Church had us read this week, then what's really the point of the story? I mean, Church didn't even read that other comic book.
I still don't understand.
I didn't actually have you read it. I presented it to everyone as available to read if you wanted to discuss it.
And
we did.
Because we didn't read it, and
I tried.
You seemed kind of pissed about that. I did actually go read it, and I still don't get it.
Oh no! I'm talking about Isom. I'm not talking about the Nick Cage and his son comic book. That
no, I just thought you might actually enjoy Dead Again, and I'm sorry you didn't. It holds a very special place with me because it was the last comic book my dad ever gave me.
Well, are we talking about the Nick Cage thing, or are you talking about the Dead Man thing?
He's on Dead Man.
Okay, no. I didn't dislike the Dead Man thing for Dead Man. I disliked that it was DC cosmicism. I'm not a fan of
I actually appreciated it for that very reason, because it gave meaning to the revival of those characters rather than taking away meaning from their death, if that makes sense. No, it at least introduced an idea that there was a story to be told with reviving those characters, other than, oh shit, sales are down, which was the honest answer.
Sure, but I mean that's just you and I having different tastes, because as you know, I'm a big fan of Midnight Suns, the Midnight Massacre, the Blackout, the Marvel Occult, where shit has a more overtly like evil is out there kind of scheme, Damian Hellstorm, etc. That's just
I like Vertigo comics more than I like DC, so I don't know what you're trying to point out.
I'm just saying at that point it's just different people having different flavors. It's not a question of whether the book is.
I've read enough John Constantine to think that I'm pretty to do with the occult of DC comics.
What I'm saying is that quite frankly, what I didn't understand was the Nick Cage comic. That was batshit.
Oh yeah, that was
My-
ridiculous.
My brain cannot understand what I just fucking read, but I read it
Mhm.
because you
Well,
asked us to read it and we didn't. So
Well,
I went back and read it.
I'll go back to my review of it and point out that I think after you now read it, that it's pretty obvious to be able to look at that thing and be like, okay, they're trying to shove 20 issues into these 6 issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there are so many threads going on at one time that they want to explore, but you obviously know as you get into issue 3 and it's still ramping up, you're like, okay, they have no fucking clue what they're trying to do right now.
What's the thing? I don't think if it had been a traditional comic with a traditional progression, right? Like an actual monthly, it would have lasted. I think it would have died before it got to the point. Because it was that bad
real
shit.
quick before Larry gets into Isom and you two discuss
Yeah.
that, I'm gonna go make another scotch, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts on Voodoo Child were.
My thoughts on Voodoo Child was it's a
both
great
of
cure
you,
for
but yeah.
insomnia.
Oh, ouch.
Basically,
Woof.
the words make me go blind because they're just tedious and boring, and the art really isn't enough to make me engaged to try to push my brain into reading it. But like Isom, it's a book where a lot of things happen, and there isn't really a reason for the reader to care. And if the reader doesn't have a reason to care, why should he buy your book?
I mean, there's a true there.
Man, you guys are fucking riveting when I step away for literally 2 seconds.
I was just I was sitting here letting Larry's commentary fulminate. I figured he had more.
No, I didn't have more on that. But let's talk about Isom, which has been popularly derived as knockoff Luke Cage. Now, the book sold a lot of copies because Eric July is a charismatic man. He's got a charismatic YouTube following. And I didn't particularly care for the book. Not because the book was bad. I thought it was serviceable. But there's a lot of stuff that was going on that kind of distracted from the core of the book. And the core of the book wasn't really engaging. The core of the story was Avery is looking for this girl that's special to his sister, who's a grown-ass woman, and Avery says she's a grown-ass woman, but he comes back into the city after working at a secret farm to go find her. He meets a bad guy who's a criminal, gets into a fight. He then ends up, because of the fight, falling into the B plot of the comic book, which I don't even know enough because it's the first comic book, but there's a B plot that the characters in the world care about, but I don't. And then Isom goes to the hospital, fakes being sick at the hospital, then escapes, goes talks to his sister, and then goes in, fights the guy again, but this time using his powers. After talking to the girl, by the way, and saying, "Hey, listen, my sister's concerned about you. Are you okay?" And then the bad guys have a conspiracy meeting saying that they need to kill this Avery guy. Then Avery goes to meet vague, government people, major corporation people, it's not clear, to get back his super suit. It's not a really good or solid story. It could be. There are the elements of good and solid story in there. He needed an editor.
I think that it's a little, not you, I know you didn't say it. I think it's a little unfair to call it diet or discount Luke Cage, because Luke Cage is made of tropes. Okay? I'm not gonna say it's Luke Cage because it's a black superhero. I'm not gonna say it's Luke Cage because the superhero doesn't want to be a superhero. I'm not gonna say it's Luke Cage because it's a superhero who wants to help his town at the street level and not punch people. And those three things together don't make a Luke Cage. Okay, there's more
Luke,
going on
Luke,
there.
Luke Cage understands that sometimes you have to lean hard into the tropes. You have to lean
Right.
all the way into the tropes to be good.
What I think the issue with Isom is the same problem that exists with Jawbreakers, and it's a problem that actually existed, or at least was opined by our friend Dillard, who's not in the audience, and if he was, hi Dillard, how you doing? Which is that as a indie movement, as an attempt to make the comics we love defying the comics we hate, we have a propensity to replicate what we like, but also what worked before, without real innovation. Okay, and that's the thing, is that in terms of storytelling and to some degree in terms of art, Isom does not knock socks off. It is the new kid on the block. It is a vigorous new character, and Eric July, full kudos for knowing how to advertise that shit.
Mhm.
Right? But
And he also put an advertisement for his wife's business in the book.
oh yeah. But as a comic, as a thing to be consumed by the medium, it's not setting the house on fire. It both needs more focus, hence an editor, and it needs something else. It needs a little oomph. It needs a personal touch we don't have, because we don't have enough pages. And I hate to say it, there's not enough. There's an attempt to build a mystery, but there's just not enough mystery for me to give a shit about the future struggles of Isom. I don't want to know what's going on at the farm, because the farm isn't presented in an interesting way to me. I'm not particularly endorsed with why he doesn't want to be a superhero and doesn't want to be in the city. I don't give a shit about their Avengers stand-ins who work with the cops. I don't know why they're beating up this blonde who wants to do super good when it's a crime to be unlicensed super good. And I don't frankly know why he walked into this guy's place of business to ask him questions, and his immediate response was, "Let me pick a fight with you and treat you like shit." That seems like a way to fuck things up and get your shit kicked in. But they had to have certain stock responses to build a certain stock plot lifted from a multitude of other sources. Evil criminal guy wants to be Don Corleone.
I mean,
Isom wants to be Luke Cage alike. The big angry fist guy is a big angry fist guy. We've seen these characters. We know what
yeah,
they do. We know why
and
they're
there's
doing
nothing,
it.
and there's nothing wrong with any of those elements. It's the fact that, like we were talking about with the Beetle Burrito movie, there's lots of extraneous stuff that you needed to pare it down. Sure, you want to sell us on like a whole comic book universe. You want to have all these other characters say, "Hey, listen, if you, I know this, you may not like this, but look, we got this white lady with energy powers. She's flying. She's super strong. You might like that."
Here,
Also, we
look.
got a backup comic about a heavy metal band with magical looking powers. You might like that.
Let's assume for a minute that I'm in the writer's room with Eric July, and
Mm,
we're gonna write Isom just for a minute, okay?
mm,
I'm like, look, why beg trouble? Isom comes in, he's showing respect, he has some questions. You tell Isom, "Hey, look, man, I'd love to answer your questions, but I got business right now. Why don't you come back tonight?" Isom says, "Sure." Isom leaves. You show him doing some daytime stuff in the city, getting to know who he is and what he's like. Talk about the old neighborhood.
mm.
Build up that connection. He goes that evening. The club's all closed down. Everything seems pretty good for a quiet conversation. Oh shit! Super bad with super fists. Isom
Yeah,
gets the shit kicked out of him, right? Wakes up at the end of comic in the medical bed. Round 2, next comic, shit's gonna get real. Somebody done fucked up. That's a book I'd read. That's something that grabs people, puts them in seats.
I know you guys are both writers, so that's what you're mainly focusing on. But the art was okay to you guys.
No, it actually wasn't. But that's
No,
a different step in the conversation.
I would
Okay, we
say I
haven't
would
gotten
say
there yet.
I would say the art was better than Voodoo Child.
Yeah, but I mean that's not much of an accomplishment.
No,
Yeah, I could walk under that limbo bar.
The no, in fact, we could talk about it now if you want. I'm sure you guys have a different interpretation. My argument, as I mentioned to Larry, is I have problems with the art relative to its sequential nature. In particular, there is a scene when they've gone to the parking lot. Isom and the muscle guy are gonna have it out one for one, the real time. This is it. They're stretching and flexing, and he's spouting lots of words for an action scene because they're just talking it out while they're gonna punch each other. And there's a scene where they jump at each other. Isom's coming up from below. He's got his fist ready to punch the guy in the face. The other guy's got his arms up over his head like he's going to do a double slam. And here we go. And in the very next scene, they are falling apart from each other, sliding back on all fours. And it's like, what? Where was the blow? Where was the collision? Where was the bone crushing? And there wasn't. The fight is incredibly unsatisfying visually, and that actually happens in a lot of places as they move sequentially, unless it's a very static scene of one person walking from one room to another or two people walking in an overhead. There's a lot of either static or like non-active movement where people are moving but nothing happens. And
to use Jawbreakers that you mentioned here as a counterpoint, comic books are different than movies and TV because you don't have to worry about a budget in comic books. You have to worry about how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be for your artist to draw it. And you know what Richard Meyer had in his first comic book of note? He had 3 of his superheroes trapped in a giant gorilla's eyeball as the eyeball rolled around on the ground. That was visually interesting.
I said something. That sounds pretty fucking awesome.
That said something about where his head was at when he was writing. Nothing in the action sequences that are set up really say anything that is interesting or engaging.
That is pretty fucking wild. I had not heard about that.
Oh yeah, no. The first Jawbreakers book, they get into a giant gorilla's eyeball, and the eyeball gets knocked out of its skull.
That's amazing. That's gross. That's amazing. But what was your specific problem, Church? Because to put a fine point on it, I felt the overall art quality was, say, equal to Fathom in like 2000. You know, very very Wildstorm comics.
It put me back into mid-90s comic book, you know, this is the house style that we're going to draw. It's not exciting. It's not going to get you a card. And, you know, you're just going to have to deal with it because not only is the art itself going to be boring, but the art itself is going to be lackluster even in the action scenes.
Yeah. But we led with the writing is because if it was dull, there was something compelling going on with the actual story, I would have popped for the second one.
Yeah, I can actually forgive pretty bad art if the story is good. I can't hold Isom accountable super deep when I am a Predator fan, and I own the 5-issue miniseries Predator Bad Blood, which is really interesting and has batshit awful art.
But
it just didn't do anything for me. I got about 4 pages in, and I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to keep reading it because I had other shit that I could be doing, like hitting myself in the penis with a hammer.
I also got the Dawn.
You shouldn't be doing that. You should at least be having Mrs. Church help.
Yeah. I also got the Dawn of DC Superman annual, which has been an interesting Superman series because I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop, and they do something to make me hate them for writing this thing. But no, it's a thing. Superman's having Superman adventures, dealing with Toyman, and the
That's an unappreciated
B-plot
character, in my opinion. I love
Yeah.
to see Toyman in the comic.
Yeah. But the A plot is Lois Lane, as editor in chief of the Daily Planet, is calling out people to do stories. And several of these stories lead to superhero related hijinks in Metropolis. And to kind of flesh out who's on the staff, what are they investigating? Jimmy Olsen is totally in love with the supervillain, and everybody's kind of like going, are we not going to talk about this? And then there's the subplot that gets introduced that the secret history of Lex Luthor as a science hero in Metropolis was kept under wraps by Perry White at the request of Lex Luthor. So now,
but why?
We haven't got that introduced yet. That's for next month.
Because I mean, no, someone as narcissistic and self-serving as Lex Luthor would not hide his hero status if he could avoid it.
But Lex was fighting
out of his fucking way to tell everybody how awesome he is.
But Lex was fighting a group of science supervillains, and something happened for Lex to hide himself as a villain.
I haven't drank enough scotch for this.
So this has been baiting me with things like going like I'm expecting something awful to happen, but it doesn't.
Yet.
Lois is in a prison with a villain who tried to kill her before. And then the prison goes wrong, and then Livewire saves Lois, and then Lois gets a really bitchin' interview with Livewire. There's some other superhero who's black in Metropolis who somebody else randomly runs into and covers them to say, hey,
What's your super name? I'm Black Hero in Metropolis.
Well, no. It has a name, and I could pull the name up, but it's not that important of a character in the deeper lore. But it's like going, hey, Metropolis has other heroes other than Superman, and we forget that sometimes. That's the story.
You want to bet he has electrical-based powers?
No, it's actually a she, and she rides a ghost horse and has something that looks vaguely magical.
I think he's talking about Nigga Man.
No, it's like most black superheroes have lightning powers. It's a trope.
No, I know. I was making the joke about Nigga Man obviously having electric powers
in his
that he got from steroids.
Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm. So, we've covered almost an hour and a half of content. Rune, did you have anything that you had up your sleeve for content for this week?
Yes, actually. I'm going to share something I already reviewed on the other podcast that I'm on, because I think everybody should get on board. I think they'll fucking love it. I think we should play it on this stream. It is called Cyber Rats, and it is wonderful.
Tell me more.
Cyber Rats is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were fighting aliens, and instead of being accidentally doused in chemical slime to become mutants, were created by one of several probably evil megacorporations that are using the ooze to create mutant super soldiers to fight aliens, XCOM style.
That sounds pretty good.
It is amazingly good. Let me get a screen set up here, and I will share the visuals on this. But the thing is that their artist lovingly rendered sort of an 80s toy set style, right? So like you can have a rat base for your rat mutants, right? And it looks very much like a Masters of the Universe playset, but with like hamster trails for your rats to run through. Why? Because
What the
why the
fuck
fuck
is this
not? They're
exactly?
rats. This is an RPG called Cyber Rats.
Okay. Okay. I actually, not to derail the conversation, but I think I informed you all that I have new Magic decks that I've been playing this past week.
Yeah.
And one of them is a Rats and Vehicles deck. I call it Rats and Cars Drinking Coffee.
If somebody wants to put my screen up, I'm sharing a window here.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. But continue.
There we go. Go ahead. Okay. Oh no, that was it. It was Rats and Cars Drinking Coffee, and I just thought that was special.
But yeah, you are a genetically engineered operative addicted to biotech, a glowing green gel that gives you superhuman powers. The world is being invaded by extraterrestrials known as interlopers. You have been employed by a megacorp to ensure the aliens don't win, and that if they are stopped, it's you who does it, and not some rival corporation. Winning won't be easy, but it also won't be enough. The right corp must get the credit. Can you stop the aliens? Will you sabotage the military to steal equipment and defense contracts from your competitors? How many operatives will you lose before you taste victory? And it is a rules light, super thin system. This little symbol here, this is Tippy. Tippy is your best friend in the user manual because the entire book is presented like it's a corpo manual, right? And Tippy has wonderful tips. Not the least of which is that he has been pre-programmed to call you buddy because you're his buddy. Don't you feel seen and validated?
Oh, I've got something for you all.
Okay.
As my table toppers, I actually missed a call with this guy. I got to call him back. Let's see here. What is it?
Don't forget, your uniform procurement and maintenance fee and your drank bucks account balance are non-refundable, even by next of kin. Use it or lose it, recruit. Saving is for people with double-digit life expectancies.
All right. So
all the junk here.
I actually might have a line in with this guy. So let me know when you're done, Rune. I'll share my screen.
I can keep rambling about this. If you've got something you feel is more profound, I will table it.
Oh no, I just meant to. You can keep it up. I just meant to share this with you guys.
Okay.
So this is Precision Play. It was the Kickstarter. You might have seen or heard of it. But these are ridiculously over-engineered machine dice.
Yeah, I call that swag, and I don't need it.
But you do. Look how pretty it is.
I don't give a shit. Garbage swag. Is it literally made of gold? Is that supposed to get my dick hard?
Trying to develop a relationship with this person, and you're just shitting all over it, right?
I mean, you asked Salty Gamer to comment.
But
what is it? What does precision dice do that is going to make me change my mind?
Well, unlike the plastic and polyurethane shit we've been getting, that does not pass. Well, not only that, but it doesn't pass the probability testing most of the time. Because there's no way to eliminate air bubbles in this component. These are heavily machined, over-engineered, and just thoroughly tested, beautiful mirror finished brass die. And I'm like, yeah, they're great for tabletop, but you know who really would pay for this shit? My people, Magic the Gathering people.
So hold up, Church. Do you have a link for this?
I do. It's precisionplaydice.com. I'll put it in the chat for everybody. They're currently what am I doing? Turn that back off. Put it in the chat here, and I will put it in our private chat as well. But it's precisionplaydice.com. They're currently doing a Kickstarter and re-looking at some things because they weren't happy with how quickly the metal they've been using tarnishes, which isn't quickly, but it's faster than they want it to. But
I mean, I can appreciate that they're still working on it, trying to make the best quality product that they can. That's good stuff.
right.
I am interested in buying this product based on the fact that it may have a better probability.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes my head tilt is like, so actually random dice. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the thing is we have to say it's not a it's pretty therefore it sucks reaction. It's the fact that the gaming market, the tabletop market, as you well know, is flooded with swag garbage. Stuff that looks pretty, that is purely for status and just inspires people to like look at my swag. It's nobody cares.
And that's the thing, and that's why I think this is a perfect product for a Magic the Gathering player, because that's what we live for. I mean, anybody can have the base version of a card in their deck, but if you spend $400 on the ultra shiny, ultra rare version of something just to pull it out along with your penis during the middle of a game, this is the kind of shit you buy. And that is who we are as Magic the Gathering players.
If I can point out, there was that guy that was going from Magic Gathering tournament to Magic Gathering tournament, taking photographs of people with their plumber ass hanging out, and he's now banned from tournaments. If you take your penis out...
I think his ban is over.
I'm pretty sure if you take your penis out while showing people your really fancy swag dice, you might get banned from conventions too.
Hey, Church, I have something to anger up Rune's blood a little bit.
Oh no.
Okay. All right.
And here I was being so positive because I was thinking like, oh yeah, you can play Enlightened Rat Swarms, or you can play Giant Brute Rats, and there's like Hacker Rat, and there's a gun rat.
Is there a
lots
ninja rat?
You can absolutely
There's gotta
do a
be
ninja rat. There is totally a ninja rat.
So you know how they're making a Toxic Avengers reboot?
Yes, with Peter, I don't like dwarves Dinklage.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping would get your blood angried up about.
No, I just
why did they make Peter Dinklage the Toxic Avenger?
Oh, we know why Peter Dinklage volunteered to be the Toxic Avenger. See, Peter Dinklage was in a little movie that people may have forgotten about video games, where he had a fucking disgusting, stupid mullet, and was opposite Adam Sandler.
That was loosely based off of a real person.
Yeah.
But not off the actual person, but based off the urban legend of that person.
Right. Peter Dinklage clearly had a taste for garbage, and the Toxic Avenger was always garbage. Always.
Yes, but it was good garbage.
No.
It was fun garbage.
It was never good garbage. Even Surf Nazis Must Die was not good. Trauma has never made anything good, and they don't deny it.
But I mean, that's what makes it funny.
It wasn't that either. Dear God. I did. I tried. I went and I watched the Toxic Avenger because my parents didn't like Trauma, and I was like, well, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. I'll check it out. I'm an adult now. I can watch my movies. I'm like, no, this is awful. This is painfully awful. This isn't even fun in the so bad it's good kind of way. It's just bad. I'm not even amused by the fact that he's running around in a tutu, because that's how he got turned into a monster, because he was being forced to wear a tutu by people that were torturing him. It's just weird and stupid.
Didn't you watch the cartoon?
When I was a kid, I did watch the cartoon, but you know what? I would have given up every minute I watched watching that cartoon to watch more of the Swamp Thing cartoon, or the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon, which was at least funny based off of the second Attack of the Killer Tomatoes film. Okay, there were much better bad cartoons to watch than the goddamn Toxic Avenger.
Power
But
Rangers.
Power Rangers was not a thing I wanted to watch. I wanted to see more X-Men. More X-Men, less Power Rangers. But with that in mind, I will mention, since you brought up Peter Dinklage, and Peter Dinklage leads us back to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. If Doomcock is to be believed, Disney told Renee Zellweger to shut the fuck up.
Well, it's not Renee Zellweger.
Or is whoever
It's Rachel Ziegler.
Rachel Ziegler. Disney told her to shut up.
Well, I mean, she can't talk about it right now. All that's happening is people are playing her old stuff because the strike's still going on.
Right, but I find it amusing that Disney might finally be figuring out that maybe the answer to at least cutting some of their losses is don't let their talent run their mouth at cameras.
But why would that influence Disney any? Because that would mean that executives would have to admit that they were wrong.
How much money have they lost in the last 10 years?
Not as much as Bud Light.
How many bad movies, one after the other?
Right, but you see, the price of executives not having to admit that they've made horrible decisions, that Disney shouldn't have merged with all of these companies, and that Disney's been forced to make several fraudulent business decisions to try to keep things afloat because of that. You know, the ability to not have to admit to any of those things, several of those things which may be crimes, is priceless, Rune. Well,
I mean, the protests do give them a lot of opportunities to cover up a lot of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And it would make sense to me to look at the talent and go, don't add to the pile, we're cleaning up right now.
But here's the thing. Her saying stupid things means they don't have to spend $10 to $15 million on their advertising budget. So her saying things that are stupid are actually worth $10 to $15 million in advertising.
I mean, the thing is, the movie's already burned. It's already fucked. That ship has sailed. There is no way Snow White is going to regain its lost positive buzz.
Well, the problem is, all of the Disney live-action remakes are based off the fact that Disney is insecure over the fact that the Disney adult fan base, which is their key fan base that matters to them, doesn't like the fact that there are socially problematic elements of the Disney classics.
Which is not true.
You mean the fans with money? Are those the ones they're scared of losing?
Yes, the Disney adults. Are you familiar with the Disney adult, Rune?
I am, but I'm gonna
those broken people.
I'm gonna posit that no Disney fan that is a Disney fan is actually running around going, "Oh, I love Disney movies, but I can't watch Snow White because that prince is just such a patriarchal piece of shit." No one, none.
Oh no, there are those people. They're the people who their focus isn't the
money.
There are people who spend money. They spend a lot of money. They're the whales who go to Disneyland and pay $1,000 for a week for hotel expenses.
Yeah, but you know what? They still want Prince Charming to be Prince Charming because they had the nostalgia bubble. They needed to get Prince Charming. They like
the visual of Prince Charming. They feel uncomfortable with the performance of Prince Charming.
Bullshit. They can believe it. They can believe it. They can keep reciting it. It is not true.
Disney has marketing.
It is a made-up belief.
Disney has marketing research that these people are uncomfortable with the fact that.
And if that marketing was true, if those metrics bore true, then it would be proportional. We made the movie you wanted. You gave us all your cash money. Another success for Disney. But somehow, they keep making what the marketeers say they want, and then people don't like it.
Right. But those are the people going to the movies, which is actually a smaller portion of Disney's business than the people who go to the parks. They want the people who go to the parks to feel happy because they spend more money.
The people who go to the parks don't give a shit about the movie. They want to see Prince Charming.
Well, they do care about the movie because their entire identity is based on consuming Disney products.
You expect me to believe that some land whale, because these are literal whales in my mind, went to Disney and said, "Oh, this is great," and then they saw a dude in Prince Charming cosplay, and I know exactly what he looks like. If you've ever seen Tasting History with Max Miller, he used to be a Prince Charming, so he looks like that guy. He's gorgeous, lovely little gay man.
Yes. They
and
say,
says, and stops right there and says, "Oh, my vision's ruined because they have that cis male Prince Charming."
No.
That never fucking happened.
That's
never
not
happened.
That's not the pitch. These people say, I love the movie and I love the iconic imagery, but I just don't like the message because the message is so of the past, and I believe Disney should always be evergreen.
No one actually says this.
Again, you don't know any Disney adults in real life. These people
actually says this, and anyone who actually does say this is masquerading as something they're not. And if Disney's listening to them, then Disney deserves to burn.
The thing is, as you rightly point out, they are a portion of the money train, but they're not the whole money train.
It's extra funny because, of course, we keep having those viral TikTok moments where they get a little girl in front of the TV and go, "What do you think?" She's like, "That's not Ariel," because even if you're pandering to the old money adults, guess what? The next generation of adults that is growing now will not buy it. They've already renounced it at age 3.
That is the problem with Disney's current business strategy. 100%. The Star Wars toys are being managed badly, so they aren't selling because the toys are garbage from the toy collector perspective. But they're toys of things that nobody wants to play with.
Actually, I heard an interesting factoid the other day. Do you know that Lego does not make pink Legos?
They don't call anything they make a pink Lego.
Yeah.
They do make pink Legos, but technically if you're looking at a pink Lego, it's called light purple or bright red in Lego terminology.
Or light violet and dark violet. It's actually on this kind of chart of elements that Lego makes. It's hilarious.
I saw that.
It's hilarious to me because obviously that's fucking pink.
Well, look, women and gay men have invented all sorts of colors that nobody else uses.
Okay.
Seafoam green. Nobody really calls that seafoam green.
I just designed a pair of shorts that were called seafoam green like not 2 hours ago.
You work in the industry.
I would use seafoam green. I've had crowns with that color before. It's a color that exists.
Right, but nobody really,
seafoam,
if you see it in the wild, you don't say
here's the real
green.
test. And I get what you're saying, Larry, but I think what you're actually trying to say is show me the difference between seafoam green and teal.
Exactly.
Teal is actually a deeper green than seafoam. That is the cognitive difference.
That's but it depends though, because there's dark seafoam that's actually darker than regular teal.
At that point, you have to apply the color until it blooms, which is not a pedantry, but that's like a jargon among artists. I'm sure you know what that means.
Yes.
Most people don't do that. Most people just apply it and then stare at it real hard.
Well, most of the time, actually, what we do is we just go to the hex code.
Yeah.
Or the Pantone number system. Because
and there are also a lot of these colors that are indistinguishable by the human eye, the differences in the colors.
That is true.
Well, it's not indistinguishable by the human eye, but it looks the same depending on the lighting you're under.
Oh no, makeup companies actually have shades of red that are indistinguishable by the human eye. They are distinguishable by cameras.
But what I'm saying though is there are colors that you can have where you're looking at it and depending on the lighting you have it in, it's a different color. And you
Yeah.
can find the same shade of color between two completely different swatches depending on your lighting.
I mean, for the makeup companies, it's certainly indistinguishable by eye after the 3,000th spray directly into the rabbit's face. Anyway, it is quarter till, and we are straining to find things to talk about. Do you want to
Not
give?
straining to find things to talk about. I warned everybody. I had a shitload of work dumped on me on Friday.
No, it's all good. I'm saying, do you want to pass the mic to Church to give him a window to rage against the darkness as a angry old man?
Oh, if I was going to do that, I'd just start yelling at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast for making their product inaccessible to even more of their player base by releasing two what they call centennial projects or masters collections back to back, two premium products that their literal answer to their customer base was for. This isn't for you.
But
Get
Church,
more money, noob.
But Church,
yeah,
you aren't you brand loyal? You have to consume to show how much you support and love the product.
No, Rune, I've faked every Magic card that I've bought in the last year almost. It's gotten to the point where it's almost the same as comics.
It blows my mind.
Why would you ever not give money to company? Megacorp loves you. Megacorp is mother. Megacorp is father.
Go ahead, Larry.
What I was about to say is, it blows my mind that you could just go to Magic tournaments and not, have the cards.
Well,
it absolutely blows my mind.
I play with casuals. So, as filthy casuals, if I'm going to a tournament, obviously you have to have standard legal cards. But if you're playing on your tabletop with your friends, or you're going to a game store where people understand that the price of Magic cards are getting fucking ridiculous, and you as a father of three would still like to play the game and don't believe in a financial handicap to a barrier entry to a game, let me take a step back and explain my philosophy here. The one of one ring, I may have even railed on that as being fucking stupid, but upon further review, I don't think that's dumb. I think that's perfect. I think that's exactly what Magic the Gathering needs. It needs to print playable version. It needs to take the Pokemon model, basically. Even if a card is good in a format, they need to print it into oblivion to the point that there is absolutely no secondary market for a basic printing of any card that ever existed ever again. And for the collectors, for the people who want to spend money and have a stock portfolio of Magic the Gathering cards, there should be special foil printings and full arts and treatments and here's a card with a piece of the canvas from the original painting that the card was printed from. Kind of like a jersey card and sports cards, right? And that's where you have your secondary collector market. But the actual cost of the physical cardboard, I think Wizards should have their cake and eat it too. I think there needs to be a website you can go on where you can say, hey, Wizards, I want 15 of this common, and you print them for 10 cents a piece. I want 15 of this rare or this uncommon, and you print them for 25 cents a piece. And I want 15 of this rare, and it's 50 cents a piece. Oh, and this mythic, I'll pay $1 a piece for them. And those are your playable cards. You don't ever have to crack a booster pack ever again unless you're hunting for treasure, or you're enjoying draft or something of that nature. But having a piece of cardboard that is structurally identical to another piece of cardboard, and their price difference being $60.10, is fucking ridiculous for a collectible card game that you have. And I've made this argument about comic books before, but you have to have 13-year-olds interested in your shit. You have to be affordable for a fucking teenager to get into. Otherwise, you're never going to replace your player base.
In matter of point, Larry started this by asking, "Hey Joe, did you have anything interesting?" And I had forgotten something that is quite amusing, which is still in the WotC sphere. So, as you all know, Baldur's Gate 3 is a joke. It is the porn game now because their overemphasis on the number of things you can bone and the amount of boning that's in it has utterly damaged the.
Also, the game it gets upset at you for not murdering goblins.
Right. Which brings us around to this. Some people, as of today apparently, are playing it and they have a problem with it. They're upset at the video game for being a video game. Is your body ready for this, Larry?
I'm ready.
They don't like that it's on rails. They're like, but D&D is supposed to be like flexible and emotive and have themes and stories, and I just have to do these events and the dice just roll, and it's like, yeah, that's what the game is when you take away agency and everything interesting about D&D. You just do what you're fucking told. That's why it's called a goddamn video game. Add on to this bit of wonder. Did you know that Baldur's Gate 3 stops at level 12? I've seen people defending this. They're like, well, if once you get past level 12, you can get 7th level spells. Then the game really changes and things get really complicated to adjudicate. So they have to stop at level 12. You know what didn't stop at level 12? You know what didn't? The gold box games back in '89. Those go from 1 to 20, motherfucker. They don't give a shit.
And the 5th edition rules as written goes from 1 to 20. But you know where most people get off?
About 6.
6 to 9.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Nice.
It's unfortunate because that means that they're actually cutting themselves out of the greater majority of game, but that's because the people involved don't know how to run game beyond 5th level, where you start getting 2 attacks. It's not even that characters are too dangerous to kill and things are complicated. It's that the overall aggregate intelligence of the player base is a fucking flat line, if not inverted. They goddamn dumb.
Well, the problem is that for the players who use modules, the modules don't have anything interesting to do after 5th level.
I mean, they do if you actually pay attention. Curse of Strahd is arguably the last best module that WotC put out. Okay?
Oh no, I'm talking about the current modules.
I know, but I'm just throwing this out there for a minute. There's a place in Barovia you can go. It's not required.
Obviously, the best module with Anorex too.
It's not. It's not on the. It's on the map, but it's not on the quest chain. It's called the Amber Temple. It is very clearly. It is very clearly not, absolutely not, low level. It will fuck you. It is a nasty, nasty dungeon full of nasty things and gives 0 fucks about it.
Does it use lube at least?
No.
No.
Lube is counterintuitive to Ravenloft. This is Barovia. You will take your cheese grater to the asshole, and we will cover it in sriracha.
Also, why did they give us Strixhaven instead of Ravenloft in Magic the Gathering? That's a question I'd love to have.
They did give us Ravenloft. They gave us one Ravenloft module and then didn't give us the rest of Ravenloft.
No, he's talking about Magic. But Strixhaven was a Magic card before it was a D&D setting.
Right. Here's the thing. WotC has long had the desire, not even a bad desire, because people have been wanting this for a while, to bring Magic the Gathering into D&D to bring those two monetary chains together. The problem is that they don't do it with any kind of fucking quality, because they said, hey, let's do Ravnica and let's do Strixhaven, when that's not what people want. What people want is Dominaria, and we want
they want original old school Dominaria.
And we want a character class or a character arc or a wizard subclass or something to explain how I play a fucking planeswalker in D&D.
I'm just saying they should just do a good Planescape for 5th edition.
They're not going to, but they're doing Planescape now. Haven't you seen the art? It looks like ass.
It does. It does. They could have done a good Spelljammer in 5th edition. But no,
had to do something about abyssal clowns in space.
And also, the one thing that sucked about Spelljammer before, they didn't even make any effort to change.
Oh, well, no. The other thing is that they left out the one thing Spelljammer absolutely needs. If you're doing a setting about flying spaceships in space that are pirate ships with cannons, you better fucking have ship rules in your space game.
Yeah.
I have played no less than 3 RPGs that were avowed space opera science fictions that tried to do no ships in space, or that you only got lifts to planets from other ships, and all 3 of them sucked ass. If I cannot pilot my own little Firefly, or my own little Star Trek USS Enterprise, or my own little fucking Buck Rogers rocket, I don't want to play your fucking game.
I would be okay hitching on the Enterprise. I could play 4D chess there.
No. It's not about the quality of the ship you hitch on. Okay? It's the idea that you and your fellow players, your friends, okay, do not have the option to be the command staff of the USS Enterprise. That you can't have a captain and a first officer.
I will say every time we've been in a port town, I have basically convinced my party to try and steal boats until our DM had to fucking re-rail us because we were just not doing what they wanted us to do. And next to never did I get the opportunity to pilot the boat. It was always taken away from me by the DM because they didn't want us doing that.
Well, see, you need to come play games with me, Church, because I have the other end of that spectrum. I wanted ships in a fantasy game so bad that I made shipboard combat rules and ship rules, and they are so halfway decent for something that is not even complete that other friends of mine who have since gone on to DM games in the same game system have specifically gone out of their way to say, "Hey Joe, can I borrow your shipboard combat rules? I want boats."
Yeah, but see, here's the problem with that, Rune. If me stealing a ship isn't going to piss you off and derail you, then I don't necessarily know that I'm going to want to do it.
No. If you steal a boat, I'm going to send the po-po after you. It's you and the police in boats firing cannons at each other. We're going to have a lovely time now that the 4-1 is after your ass. 5 stars on your GTA. I'm sorry, it should be GTM, Grand Theft Maritime.
That is correct. That is good. Grand Theft Maritime.
Okay.
So it's how I want it.
You will find other ways to agitate me. And as we have played before, you know that I will carry it like a prince, and I will find ways to make it work, no matter how much it drives me up the wall.
Mm-hmm. So next week, do we want to do our food thing that we talked about? It's been about a month.
I am not prepared for the food thing because this is the end of the month. I need to get materials and prepare spaces for cooking and whatnot at the beginning of the month. I didn't know if we were moving forward on that, so I am not prepared.
And also, not next week, but the week after, I will be unavailable for doing a show. I will be going up to Peoria, Illinois to visit family.
Okay. Well, we didn't know we were going to be a man short this week, but it happened. I almost wasn't going to be able to do a show anyway, but then
I mean, look, if Larry can't be around and we either have Ayrton, we'll be fine, or if it's just you and me, Church, we get Crippled Jesus on here and him and I make you fall over dying.
Oh, if you get Crippled Jesus on, I'll just watch. I'm not participating in that.
I don't know how to contact Crippled Jesus. I don't have the cripple sign that I can put into the sky like a skylight. It's just
Is it because you don't have a blue light bulb?
Yeah, I don't have a blue light bulb for the cripple sign. I don't have the tools to I don't have the tools to bring people to the show. I mean, I could probably dig up a friend, but there's no promise that they would be entertaining or deep.
Ooh.
I like to think my friends are deep, but that doesn't mean that they're this. I don't know what this is. I just don't leave.
So I think we have clocked in at our 2 hours, Church. So take us home.
Oh, should I? Oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to end the broadcast.
That's what I mean. Take us home by ending the
Good night,
broadcast.
Yeah, the good night, everybody. Guys, not here. So
good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.